Again, and shouldn't come as a shocker to any of you. I'm driving the car today. I'm gonna keep it running, make sure that I drive it every so often, keep the battery charged up, all that good stuff. So I got a couple things I want to talk about, but I reckon for the first minute or so until I get a few people joining me, I'll just kind of talk about the hot topic of the day, which is the weather. So there's a few people joining me. Man, it is hot here. I haven't looked today to see what the temperature actually is, but let's just check here. 90 degrees, feels like 87. Logic. Graham, how's it going? Yeah, 90 degrees here in northeast Nebraska. So I don't know where everybody else is. I don't know how hot it is in Illinois, but it's probably not a whole lot warmer anyway. I got a few people watching me. I guess there's a couple things that, as always, been bugging me. And you guys always make a pretty good sounding board. So that's probably the main reason I have this YouTube channel, is just so I can complain about stuff and somebody actually listens. It's kind of nice. But I keep seeing all these laws that keep getting proposed, and I mean, I know we all know the typical cycle. We have a tragedy, and unnecessary lives are lost, and then people want to ban all of the guns, even if we have somebody that uses, you know, a pump action shotgun and a .38 revolver. We've still got people saying, well, we got to get rid of these assault rifles and you know, this, that, and the other. The high capacity magazines made it, you know, to where this is happening all the time. Yeah, I'm not here to argue about any of that back and forth, but here's what I do want to know, because all these people that keep making laws, or proposing laws, I should say, these bills get introduced by people, and they have all kinds of weird wording in them. Most of us that have actually we all know that the wording is not right. And I saw another one today. I think it might have been, am I there? Okay, I think I'm back. Jeez. Shouldn't have buffered right there. So I keep seeing all these bills get introduced, and we can tell by the wording that whoever's introducing these is not a gun person. And they don't know what's going on. They don't know. All right, thanks, Grim. They don't know what the magazine does and how that's different from a trigger or a vertical foregrip. They don't know the stuff. They're just repeating stuff that they've heard, or, you know, or worse yet, they're just introducing stuff that's flat out wrong in their bill. And it just blows my mind. Now, when we have a law that's introduced, typically in most other fields, we have experts, I believe, that are brought in. And, you know, if we're talking about health care reform, then we need to have expert field that are expert, that, you know, not only that, but health insurance, things like that. We're not going to get a mechanic okay. I am trying to, I've made videos about that. I'm not going to go into it here. Go find my other videos, but that's not the wrong attitude. I always thought that this phone was the better one for doing YouTube from, but I'm not so sure. think I'm probably not. I just things like this. I don't understand why it is that we don't need an expert all of a sudden, or everybody thinks they're an expert all of a sudden on what we do and what we don't need and what laws we should have. To the extent that all of a sudden, you know, we're talking to national law and the way that we should have our laws, because clearly that's who we need is teenagers who aren't even old enough to vote. That's who should be advising our law. It just makes no sense to me why that we shouldn't have them, but we don't do that in any other part of our lawmaking process. Or maybe we do and I just was not aware, I guess. But if you're going to do or say things that affect policy or affect law, then I think there needs to be some way to establish that you do in fact know what you're talking about. We need to have, but that's really been, see another bill proposed that that says that, you know, we need to take away the stuff that scares me, which is essentially all it is. We need to take away the stuff that scares me, or I don't like it, or I don't think there's a need for it, so clearly that means that I'm right and everybody else is wrong. I'm really tired of seeing that. But again, I know that I've said this many times, the only way that we change it is to go to the voting booth and put the people in office that we need that can do that. But that's just it. I don't care if they're Democrat or Republican. It doesn't matter who is jumping on what wagon. If they're not going to uphold the Constitution as it is written, then they're not doing their job. And I think the country got a little bit of a dose of that when the outsider, the political outsider, I should say, got elected president, because not only was he not a Democrat, can't tell if this ducks out like that. I don't know how much of this you're actually hearing. But yeah, we won't be doing this again from this phone. It's a little late now. I'm driving down the road. Can't very well switch it over. Not without putting people on the road at risk that are beside me and around me. But no, I guess I want to know what everybody else thinks. And am I the only one that feels this way? Am I the only one that's getting upset that people who don't know anything about the topic are the ones that are doing the most influencing on the laws? Because that's really not what needs to happen. But again, there's not much we can do to fix it unless we all get together. And that's one of the problems that I see is, you know, you can say what you want about the gun-grabbing liberal left, whatever name you want to throw out, it doesn't matter. The people who aren't me, or the people who don't agree with me, you can say what you want about them, but they're smart as far as being a united front and getting everybody on the same page, and they're very good at that. And as a whole, the pro-gun side is not. We're not good at that at all. We spend way too much time fighting ourselves, shooting ourselves in the foot. Not near enough time being a united front against the real problem. And so I guess if I'm gonna call people out, and I don't have a problem doing it, I don't mind the comments that are gonna come. There's probably not much backlash from this, but I don't really mind if anybody gets a little bit offended. If the shoe fits, wear it. But gun people, we need to all get together. We need to stick together, and we need to have each other's back. Okay, we spend way too much time arguing about whether or not that high point was a waste of money, and whether or not your Glock is better than my 1911 or my Smith & Wesson is better than your Taurus. Who freaking cares, guys? We're all gun people. Let's celebrate the fact that we're gun people. And let's get something done so that we can all have the discussion, the debate for years to come about, 1911 versus Glock. But, yeah, man, I see way too many people wasting time and effort shaming somebody because they bought this gun or they bought that aftermarket accessory. You got the wrong holster, you got the wrong light, you got the wrong gun, that's a piece of junk, you should have bought this one because I love mine. That's fine, I'm happy for you. I like mine. You know what? I carry a Smith & Wesson Shield. I've done 2 modifications to it. It's got a stainless steel guide rod and it's got Talon grips applied around the grip frame. That's it. I'm not putting anything else on it. It's got factory sights. My Glock 19 is factory everything. I've changed out the slide plate because I got a nice one down in Tulsa from the Millspin company. I put Talon grips on that because I swear by them. That's it. Everything else is stock. Even the plastic sights are still the same. Who cares, guys? You don't like it, I don't mind. You don't have to shoot my gun, you don't have to carry my gun. I know that in the event that I ever decide I need it and I have to pull it out to defend my life or my family's life, those sights aren't going to be as important as getting it into action anyway. I'm not too worried. But my point is that we need to redirect our effort. We need to focus again on making the left, the anti-gun crowd, afraid of us. Because right now they're laughing. They're laughing at us. We can't get organized. We can't get our crap together as a whole. We just can't. We're too busy arguing about this or that. We're too busy saying, whether or not we need to join the NRA or boycott the NRA or boycott Yeti or any of this stuff, which is, I'm not saying it's not important. I'm not saying that our principles are not important. What I'm saying is, if we want to have that discussion on the side, fine, but it's taken focus away from what's really important, guys, and we need to not lose sight of what's the most important thing. About when someone says they support the Second Amendment, but they support a ban on AR-15s. Well, I would like to part of the Second Amendment they support then. But again, I mean, that's a one-on-one conversation. If you hear somebody say that, that's an opportunity. Is what that is. That's a chance to just have a dialogue with somebody and honestly ask them and not confront them and not start off as an argument. That's the best way to shut somebody down, is to come across combative. But just say, okay, so you support the Second Amendment, you don't support AR-15, so what part of the Second Amendment do you support? First of all, let's find out where we agree, and then we can talk about where we disagree. I don't know what we need to be doing. That's what I gun out, right? Let's establish common ground first. Let's agree. Yes, everybody agrees it's tragic when somebody takes a gun into a school, into a church, into a shopping mall. Whatever it is, when people lose their lives unnecessarily. Okay, we can all agree on that. Now, I vehemently disagree when somebody says give up my guns means I'm pro killing innocent children. Of course that's not the case. And I'll have words with anybody that says that to me. I mean, obviously that's not the case. I'm not a monster. And it goes back to some of the other stuff I've been talking about lately. I'm not a criminal either. And there's no reason for anybody to look at me and suspect that I'm going to commit a crime with my firearms. Because I've been through too many background checks and done too many things to prove otherwise. I'm guilty of maybe a lot of things, but not committing a crime with a firearm. Maybe speeding. I might be doing that right now. I'm not going to admit to it. But yeah, this is one of those things that just, it gets me going. And I haven't been able to keep up with all the comments, but I've seen that a few people have been talking about things that really get them going. Wolf, I'm glad you're with us. I know my camera is shaking like crazy because my car mount is shaking like crazy. I could probably hold it steady just as well in my hand at this point. But that's what happens when I've got, well, not the wrong vehicle, but not the usual vehicle. This one's cheaper to drive down the road. Somebody said on Twitter to treat firearms like how we register cars. I'd be all for that if cars were guaranteed in the Constitution. The right to drive is not a right, it's a privilege. The right to keep and bear arms is a right. Along with life, liberty, pursuit of happiness, those are all constitutionally guaranteed rights. And no document gives me those rights. The fact that I breathe air means that I have that right, and the document protects it, guarantees it, preserves it. It says nobody can take that away from me. But again, you know, it's funny how the people that say that it's an antiquated document, or it's an antiquated amendment, that the founding fathers could not have anticipated AR-15s and things like that. You know what? That's first of all false, but let's give people the benefit of the doubt and say, even if that were true, that means that they also could not have anticipated radio or television or internet, which means that our freedoms of speech, freedom of press only applies to printed words. So freedom of press is good for the newspaper, but not for the internet, not for YouTube. We don't actually have the right to say whatever we want to. So, I mean, again, we can have that conversation with people if they're willing to actually listen. But what I see way too often, and I see it on both sides, is we're so caught up on being right that we shut down, and we're not open-minded, and we're no longer willing to listen. What's up, JB? I saw another one. You're right, some people won't wake up. Hey, David, how's it going? No, I understand that. And that's okay. I mean, like we've established before, hey, Gary, my neighbor to the south. I know we've established the vast majority of people probably aren't going to care enough to do a lot about it, and that is what it is. Half of those people will say FEMA camps are for our own good. Yeah. Yeah, as long as the government gives us everything, we'll follow whatever rules they want, right? Because they're giving us our house and our food, and we have to follow their rules, and we're giving up our freedoms. Okay, so let's go off on a tangent here while I got a couple miles to talk about this. Every time I hear something about a FEMA camp, every time I hear something about, you know, the government owes us health care, the government should give us, you know, food and housing and clothing, and the government should just provide everything for us because we deserve it for whatever reason. I don't know what that is, but let's go with this. Every time I think about that, you know what I think about? Have you guys all seen the movie The Hunger Games? And I know we could list a dozen or two different movies, but I think about The Hunger Games. And I think about how this is a movie that everybody across the country, across the world, really, for the most part, I mean, I know some people didn't care for it, but for the most part, everybody said, you know, it was a good show. And if you watch the whole... Okay, so we've got a tyrannical government, and we've got the ruling elite, and then we've got all the working class out in the. Everybody is given, you know, their food, their clothing, their shelter. They all have to work, you know, and the only people that can have weapons are the police or soldiers, whatever they're called there in that movie. So the reason why this story is so popular is because somebody decides to stand up and say, not one, and we're going to take down the evil government, and we're not going to keep things going the way they have been for however many years. Okay, so we get behind this person, and we cheer her on because she's going to align with the people that have the power back, freedoms, that kind of thing. And then the same people who make these movies and applaud these movies and give these actors and actresses awards for such things, then they turn around and they want to march and say that we don't deserve our freedoms in the real world. And again, it just blows my mind. I don't get it. I don't understand, guys. And I don't imagine that anybody who's taken the time to voice right now, we're all pretty much of the same mind. But yeah, I don't know the right or wrong of all of it, but I just can't stop thinking about things like the Hunger Games and how popular that is, and how people, you know, love that show, and then turn around and they want to work towards the very thing that we're rebelling against in that storyline. I don't know, man. It's crazy to me. But you know, let's be like Australia and force people to give up their guns. Let's be like, you know, Sweden. Let's be like all these other countries. You know, there's a reason why people fight to get into this country. We have the issues that immigration and illegal aliens and things like that. It's because clearly the world, Vandal and anybody else somewhere outside the U.S., I'm sorry, I'm not meaning to be a jerk towards you, but or your country, but this is the best. I don't know if you guys, am I there? Okay. I don't know if you guys can hear me. This thing's kind of cutting in and out right now. I know what's going to happen. I should have signed off already. I'm not sure if I'm still there or not. But thanks to everybody for sounding off. I haven't gone to my channel and liked and subscribed. Go ahead and do that. You guys have a great rest of your day, and God bless.